There is enough evidence to suggest that the respondents violated Georgia election laws and state election board rules to such an excess that we should be embarrassed for the Fulton County registration and elections. We should be embarrassed for the chief election official of Georgia and its election division. And yes, we should be embarrassed for the state election board and its dysfunction in handling this case. The facts tell the story that a county's negligent conduct of an election and reveals the reality of how difficult it is to have one's grievances addressed in a timely manner, if at all. But this complaint, especially coupled with the full hand count audit complaint by the same complainants, suggests election conduct that is unacceptable. And the state election board should address each complaint and then consider the appropriate action. First, the problem with election day count and the failure to properly secure, protect, and document the safety and authenticity of the votes from 10 advanced voting locations is appalling. Record keeping is abysmal. Proper documentation to ensure the public that votes or ballot boxes have not been tampered with is shamefully poor. The opportunity to electronically stuff the ballot box was obviously available, and that has left a film of doubt and suspicion over Fulton County that may be impossible to wipe away unless something is done to ensure that there's not a repeat of multiple violations. Second, as far as the complaint of the recount, someone should be held accountable for the adding votes electronically or failing or refusing to produce ballot images for the complainants and maybe even the court, or for double scanning of ballots. Dominion claims its machines do not allow double scanning of thousands of votes. The question remains, how did that happen? Did Dominion lie to the state of Georgia? Double scanning and double counting of votes is fraud. It may be unintentional or just negligence, but nevertheless, it's vote fraud. The FBI states that voting twice is a violation of law. Then officially counting votes twice is also a violation. It's a federal election crime and a part of the public corruption unit of the FBI. The election official counter that was counting should be identified counting erroneously and held accountable. The results of the RLA hand count and the machine recount should be officially amended and reflect the correct totals. The recount with 17,852 ballot images and more than 16,000 electronically added votes should have those votes expunged, or the paper ballots should be investigated by an independent investigator. Ballot images were required to be made and preserved as of February 2020. With the failure to retain 380,000 ballot images from the November 3rd election be indicative of gross negligence? 10 scanners from advanced voting have failed to provide required documentation necessary to confirm that they were used in the elections, were safely secured from tampering, or that the votes attributed to the 10 scanners were authentic. Election supervisors must provide documentation and demonstrate correct procedure for maintaining memory card security. The county broke the necessary audit trail to validate the authenticity of the votes. Either the votes should be invalidated or the paper ballots must be investigated to prove their veracity. If this is the way to conduct an election, then no election should be certified as true and accurate. And there's no way that this election or recount should have been certified. Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to amend the RLA totals to reflect the correct totals, amend all records at the county and state level of election totals for this election in question to designate that the accurate and correct vote totals may not be accurate.
Do you have that written down, right?
I do.
Repeat it.
I do. I have further make a motion to request the Secretary of State either invalidate 17,852 votes from the official certification or initiate an independent investigation to determine if 17,852 ballots are authentic. In addition to the motion, I request that the Secretary of State initiate an independent investigation of the authenticity of the ballots from 10 advanced voting scanners, or expunge the votes from those scanners for the record. Knowing these inconsistencies and irregularities and being responsible for providing oversight of the supervisor in the conduct of election, I'm concerned about anyone that would have signed to certify that election. And finally, we recommend that we refer it to the Attorney General for immediate review of this case and recommend a monitor team to provide investigative oversight of Fulton County elections for 2024 to consist of certified public accountants, independent investigators, and state auditors to be funded